If you take away the Soviet Union and its chief proxy, the PLO, international terrorism would collapse.
If you take out Saddam's regime, I guarantee that it will have enormous positive reverberations on the region. Obviously, we'd like to see a regime change, at least I would, in Iran, just as I would like to see in Iraq. The question now is a practical question. What is the best place to proceed? It's not a question of whether Iraq's regime should be taken out.
If you take away the Soviet Union and its chief proxy, the PLO, international terrorism would collapse.
If you take out Saddam's regime, I guarantee that it will have enormous positive reverberations on the region. Obviously, we'd like to see a regime change, at least I would, in Iran, just as I would like to see in Iraq. The question now is a practical question. What is the best place to proceed? It's not a question of whether Iraq's regime should be taken out, but when should it be taken out?
Attention.
The more victories you amass, the easier the next victory
Listen
becomes. The first victory in Afghanistan makes the second victory in Iraq that much easier. The second victory in Iraq will make the third victory that much easier too, but it may change the nature of achieving that victory. In the Middle East, Iran's axis of terror confronts America, Israel, and our Arab friends. This is not a clash of civilizations. It's a clash between
What is up, everybody? Welcome to this live. I know usually I don't do lives on Saturday nights, but here we are. There's crazy nut job news going on, so stick around. It's gonna be a quick one, but welcome to the live. Subscribe, share if you like our content. We're gonna be, like I said, we're gonna be continue to be more proactive and more, what's the word, consistent with the lives that we do every Friday night in Miami. So stick around. We're gonna bring out some crazy subjects to stir up the minds and stir up the spirits of the people and see what's going on. So yeah, gather around. Yeah, this is your host, Shamar, aka the Ancient Watchman, the Water Wizard. What if I told you that you are paying for bombs falling on children tonight? Not metaphorically, though, not as, quote, we as a society, end quote, you know, like we as a society. No, you. With your taxes, with your silence, with your attention elsewhere. What if I told you that the war you're watching on your screen, Iran 2026, was planned 25 years ago in a Pentagon office, written on a memo signed by people who have never bled a single drop? And what if I told you that the same people who planned this war planned 6 other wars and executed every single one of them to the T? Would you keep scrolling or would you listen? This is the Ancient Watchman, aka the Water Wizard, my name, and so on and so forth. Tonight we're gonna talk about things they don't want you to connect, because once you connect them, once you see the pattern, you can never unsee it. And they know that.
The truth is that Netanyahu said in 1996 in a book called Fighting Terrorism, he laid out the whole plan. Usually when there are terrible plans, they don't hide them. Hitler wrote Mein Kampf. And I'm not meaning to make simplistic comparisons. I'm just making the point that people say what they're going to do. Netanyahu wrote in 1996 his plan for how he was going to make Israel safe. Brzezinski wrote in 1997 a different book called The Grand Chessboard of how he was going to make the United States the world's unipolar power. So they write the story, and you can go back and evaluate. Did they know what they're talking about? Are they full of BS? Did they cause a lot of trouble? So just on 2 points. Brzezinski in 1997 says the U.S. can expand NATO. Russia will have no choice but to accede. What's Russia going to do? Is it going to become an ally of China? No way, says Brzezinski. You know, okay, interesting. Didn't quite get that one right, Zvig. Netanyahu has a different idea, and it's coherent, but it's kind of madness. His idea is we captured the Palestinian lands in 1967, and we're never going to give them back. So we're just going to rule over the Palestinians. There's a second take which says we're not going to give it back because God in the year 700 BC or in the year 1000 BC, but written in a book, the book of Joshua in the year 700 BC, told us it's ours. And there are people that absolutely believe that as well. Netanyahu spells out very clearly the following story. He says we're going to keep the land. There will be resistance, Hamas, Hezbollah, other militant resistance. What will we do about it? You can't really fight the terrorists, he says. You have to fight the states that back the terrorists.
And Iran is the central one in his mind.
But interestingly for Netanyahu, he lays out one by one. Yes, of course, Iran is the central one in his mind. But so too is Iraq under Saddam. He supported Hamas.
Right.
So too is Bashar al-Assad in Syria. So too is Somalia. So too is Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. You know, he laid it out, and he at various times listed the countries. And one list that showed up in the Pentagon just after 9/11 was 7 countries: Iran, Iraq, Lebanon, Syria, Somalia, Sudan, and Libya. And you know what the plan was? 7 wars in 5 years. The U.S. using Israel? No. This is Israel using the U.S. as if our military is in their hands, which in effect it is. You take Wolfowitz and you take Feith and you take these neocons and you take Netanyahu. They game planned the whole thing out. Well, I regard Netanyahu as having been our greatest disastrous president of the 21st century because he ran American foreign policy for 20 years and he cost us trillions of dollars. And where is the Middle East today? War in Syria, war in Lebanon, war in Palestine, unrest in Iraq.
Yeah, so we're gonna jumpstart this program, this transmission to the message to the children of light throughout the world. This is part 1, the memo, the 7 countries. Let me take you back to 2001. Within weeks of 9/11, a 4-star general named Wesley Clark, former NATO Supreme Allied Commander, walked into the Pentagon. A senior officer showed him a memo from the Office of the Secretary of Defense. The memo said, quote, "We're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years," end quote. Clark asked, quote, "Is this classified?" end quote. The officer said, quote, "Yes, sir," end quote. Clark asked, quote, "Well, don't show it to me," end quote. But he saw it and he never forgot. The list. Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Iran. That was 2001, bro. Since then, Iraq, was invaded, occupied, destroyed, over 1 million dead. Syria, war, proxy war, hundreds of thousands dead, millions displaced. Lebanon, destabilized, bombed, Hezbollah targeted. Libya, NATO intervention, Gaddafi killed, now a slave market. Somalia, drones, special forces, ongoing chaos. Sudan, destabilized, split, now in a civil war. Iran, look at your screen tonight. Look at CNN, Fox, MSNBC, and so on and so forth, and all these other platforms online, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. 25 years in the making. The memo wasn't a conspiracy theory. It was a to-do list. And they're checking it off one by one.
To be honest, this is more Israel pushing for Iran, but is that America's problem? That's a, I mean, maybe the answer is yes. Maybe the answer is, you know what,
Iran has...
To be honest, this is more Israel pushing for Iran, but is that America's problem? That's a, I mean, maybe the answer is yes. Maybe the answer is, you know what, they were wrong about Iraq, they were wrong about Syria, they were wrong about Afghanistan, they were wrong about the Taliban, they were wrong about Libya, they were wrong about the Arab Spring, they were wrong about Yemen, they were wrong about the Arabian Peninsula, they were wrong about the 9/11 hijackers being Saudi Arabian, but hey, 10th time's a charm. This time we're actually right. Yeah, you're gonna have to earn our trust on this one.
Yeah, there it is right there. And as the conspiracy theory keeps going down deep into the darkness of the rabbit hole, about the story of how Charlie Kirk and why Charlie Kirk was basically unalive, is because he was speaking against the status quo. He's speaking against those who control this government of the Republic of these United States of North America. So this is part 2, the original sin, Iran. Let's see. Yeah, so this is part 2, the original sin. This is Iran 1953. But to understand Iran tonight, you have to go back to 73 years. 1953, Iran. Iran had democratically elected prime minister. His name was Mohammad Mossadegh. He was popular, progressive, loved by his people. His crime? He nationalized Iran's oil. Same thing that Mexican President Sheinbaum is doing. Nationalizing the oil companies. Why? Because a lot of U.S. companies were inside Mexico, basically sucking up all the resources of Mexico. So anyway, what was his crime? His crime was he nationalized Iran's oil. He took it back from the British, said, quote, "This resource belongs to the Iranian people," end quote. The British went to America. They said, quote, "Help us get our oil back," end quote. The CIA launched Operation Ajax. They overthrew Mossadegh. They installed a dictator, the Shah, S-H-A-H, who ruled with an iron fist for 26 years. Torture, secret police, U.S. weapons, U.S. money. The Iranian people never forgot. In 1979, they rose up. They overthrew the Shah. They took American hostages. They created the Islamic Republic. The very government the U.S. is bombing tonight. The U.S. created its own enemy. And now, 73 years later, the bombs are falling on Tehran again. The target, the supreme leader's compound, regime change. The same goal as 1953. Same playbook, same oil, same blood, different century. Yeah, so as you can see, Iranian officials claim scores of students were killed in an attack Saturday morning where a drop or missile was dropped. They destroyed building in a primary school for girls in the south of Iran. Innocent children dying, innocent people. Iran's foreign ministry spokesman Ismail Bakaleh accused the U.S. and Israel. So, you know, there's injustice going on. They're targeting civilians, bro. They're targeting children, schools, and so on and so forth. The same playbook, same bloodshed, same genocide. CNN is unable to independently verify their report. And obviously, we can see the videos. Part 3. This is part 3, the lies every single time. They always have a reason. Yeah, Iraq 2003, quote. They said they have weapons of mass destruction. There were none. The intelligence was cooked. The UN inspector said so, but the bombs fell anyway. Libya 2011, quote, humanitarian intervention, protecting civilian, end quote. Gaddafi was captured, sodomized with a bayonet and killed. Libya became a failed state. Weapons from Libya flooded Africa. Slave markets opened up in 2020. The civilians they protected, quote unquote, dead or displaced. Syria 2011, pressed until this very day. Fighting terrorism, Assad must go. Until 2026. And is that conflict still going? 500,000 dead, 12 million displaced. ISIS rose from the chaos. Chemical weapons were used by both sides. The terrorism they claimed to fight, they helped create. Bro. Afghanistan 2011. Bringing democracy, women's rights, end quote. 20 years, $2 billion, 70,000 Afghan civilians dead. The Taliban returned to power in 2021. The women they promised to save, back under burqas. Now, burqas are basically like these face coverings, lips and cheeks. You can't show your face, otherwise that's basically received as like sexual offer within the Islamic religion in these parts of the world. So that's why the United States decided to just go over there and mess around with the Afghanistan and stuff. And it's just 20 years later, $2 trillion were lost, 17 Afghan civilians dead, and so on and so forth. Vietnam, 1964, quote, stopping communism, end quote. 2 million Vietnamese dead. Secret bombing of Cambodia and Laos. More bombs dropped on Laos than Germany and Japan in all World War II combined. Unexploded ordnance still kills children today. Guatemala, 1954, quote, fighting communism, end quote. The CIA overthrew a democratically elected president who wanted to give land back to peasants. The United States, the United Fruit Company, okay, whose executives were friends with Eisenhower, didn't want to lose their banana plantations. 36 years of civil war followed, over 200,000 killed, mostly indigenous Mayans. Genocide.
Iran has launched a massive retaliatory operation. After joint strikes by the United States and Israel, Iran has begun targeting major U.S. military bases across the region. President Donald Trump confirmed that U.S. forces are actively involved in the operations. He also stated that Iran's missile capability will be completely eliminated. At the same time, Iran sent a large wave of ballistic missiles directly toward Israel. Sirens are sounding across the country, and civilians are moving into shelters. Then the situation escalated even further. Loud explosions were heard in Riyadh as Saudi air defense systems activated to intercept incoming missiles. Missile activity was reported near the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet in Bahrain, Qatar's Al Udeid Air Base, Abu Dhabi's Al Dhafra Air Base, all came under threat. Kuwait confirmed it is intercepting multiple projectiles entering its airspace. Jordan also carried out defensive actions and neutralized missiles above its territory. Near the UAE, at least 2 missiles were intercepted in the air. Explosions were heard in Dubai, and the Burj Khalifa was evacuated as a precaution. The entire region is now on high alert. This is no longer just a response. It is a rapidly expanding regional crisis. The next few hours could be decisive. Comment below and follow for more updates.
Chile, 1973, saving democracy, end quote. The U.S. supported the coup against Salvador Allende, democratically elected. Pinochet took power. Thousands tortured and killed. Disappearances. Kissinger said, quote, I don't see why we need to stand by and watch a country go communist due to the irresponsibility of its own people, end quote. Venezuela 2026, quote, drug trafficking charges, end quote. January 3rd this year, U.S. Special Forces captured President Nicolas Maduro and his wife, flew them to New York. Regime change by military operation. The reason? Oil. Always oil. Oil. That's the commodity. That is the whole point.
Our president will start a war with Iran because he has absolutely no ability to negotiate. He's weak and he's ineffective. So the only way he figures that he's going to get reelected, and as sure as you're sitting there, is to start a war with Iran.
There it is, folks, right there. Out of the horse's mouth, projecting what they're guilty of, what they're doing, what they're about to do. That's how these vampires, reptilians, that's how these manipulative individuals, billionaires and millionaires, try to change the story and manipulate people's minds, people's emotions through their lies. This is part 4. Let's see. Part 4, the numbers. The numbers, who pays the price? Yeah, who pays the price amongst all these war casualties? Who pays the price during this war that was started by billionaires and millionaires and aristocrats and technocrats and whatnot? Who pays the price? Let me give you the numbers, not abstractions, but people. Iraq, over 1 million dead, children, mothers, fathers, grandparents, People who woke up one day and didn't know a bomb would erase them. Afghanistan, 70,000 civilians dead. People who never threatened America. People who just wanted to live. Libya, tens of thousands dead. And those who survived, they were sold in slave markets in 2020 in our lifetime, bro. Syria, over 500 dead. Half the population displaced. Cities that once stood now rubble, like in Gaza in Palestine. Vietnam, 2 million dead, and the bombs keep killing. Unexploded ordnance 50 years later. Gaza, right now, over 50,000 Palestinians dead, over 15,000 of them children, over 30 hospitals destroyed, journalists killed, the majority of them, humanitarian workers killed, and cats, yes, cats, they were killed too. Because when you dehumanize a people, you dehumanize everything they touch. The U.S. gives Israel the weapons, the U.S. gives Israel the money, the U.S. gives Israel the diplomatic cover. They are not bystanders, they are partners in this genocide. Part 5, the Archons, who they really are. Well, in the Gnostic text, there are beings called the Archons. They are rule this world. They are not gods. They are pretenders. They claim authority. They do not truly possess. They keep humanity asleep, divided, and afraid. They have many names today: defense contractors, oil executives, politicians who never send their own children to war, media owners who decide which deaths matter, think tank experts who justify genocide from clean offices, the 1% who profit from every bomb. Their weapons are the same in every age. Fear. Quote, they're coming for you. Division. They are not like us. Forgetfulness. Look away. It's too complicated. Distraction. Here. Watch this instead. And this is how they distract the people. Through fear, division, forgetfulness, and distraction. All in the media, all in the music industry, all in every phase of our modern day society. But a waking golem is dangerous. Part 6, the awakening. Who you really are. Here's the truth they don't want you to know. Here's the truth. You're not just flesh and bone. You're not just a taxpayer. You're not just a consumer. You are clay, animated by a spark that no bomb can touch. The mystics call it the I am. The Gnostics call it the divine spark. The Kabbalistics call it the Neshama Chaya, the soul that connects earth to heaven. The Sufis call it the raw, the breath of the beloved. The Hindus call it Atman, the self that is one with the Brahman. Whatever name you use, the truth is the same. There's something in you that Archons cannot control. They have their bombs, they have their planes, they have their bases and their billions, but they do not have this. They do not have the I am, the spark, the divine spark within yourself. Ye are gods, he said. Ye are gods, the Torah says. They do not have the I am, and the I am in you, in me, in every child of Gaza, in every mother of Iran, in every father of Syria, in every soul on this sacred earth. Outlast every empire. Part 7. This is the call. What you can do. What can you do? So what do we do? What can you do? What can I do? What can we do as a people, as a collective, as a global community? What can we do? Do you donate money? Do you sign a petition? Do you go to a protest? Yes. If that calls you to do so, do it. Every act of resistance matters. But here's what matters more. To wake up. To wake up from the pattern. To wake up from the lies. To wake up from the blood on your tax dollars. Bear witness. Do not look away. When they bomb Tehran, watch. When they kill children in Gaza, remember their names. When they tell you it's complicated, know that it's actually very simple. Bombs kill people, and people are not numbers. Speak, not because your voice will change everything overnight, but because silence is what they depend on. Every time you speak truth, you weaken their lie. Every time you name the archons, they tremble. Connect. Find the other awakened ones. They are everywhere, scattered, hidden, waiting. You are not alone. The children of light are many. We just forgot each other. It's time to remember. Love. This is the most radical act. Love the ones they call enemy. Love the children of Gaza. Love the people of Iran. Love the strangers, the outcasts, the bombed, the forgotten. Love them because they carry the same I am you carry. Love them because love is the only force the archons cannot defeat. And even their Bible says so. The love is basically the most important thing in the existence of humanity. All right, everybody, we're gonna close it out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This was the Ancient Watchman. Usually we don't do lives on Saturday nights, but today it was called to do so because of what's going on. But I'm glad you guys stuck around. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you on the next one. This is the Ancient Watchman with the last message to the minds, to the souls, and to all the children of light all throughout the world. Tonight, as you go to sleep, the bombs will keep falling. The children in Tehran will close their eyes and wonder if they will wake up. Mothers in Gaza will hold their children and pray the next missile misses them. Fathers in Lebanon will look at rubble that used to be homes. And the archons, they will sleep just fine. They sleep fine every night. They have for thousands of years. But here's what they do not know. The I am does not sleep. The I am in you, the spark, the breath, the light is awake. And it sees every child. It sees every bomb. It sees every lie. It sees every fear, every tear. And it does not forget. And the Archons think they're writing history. They think their bombs will be remembered and their enemies forgotten. But they are wrong. The children of light remember. We remember the names. We remember the dates. We remember the crimes. We remember the blood. And one day, soon, the remembering will become rising. And when the children of light rise, the Archons will fall. Not by our violence, not by our violence, not by our violence, but by our presence, by our witness, by our love. Because love is the one thing they could never manufacture. Love is the I am recognizing itself in every face. Love is the golem remembering it was made of clay and breath and life and spark of the gods. Love is the reed wall carrying the truth across the ages. Love is the bomb that destroys nothing but heals everything. They have planes, they have bombs, they have bases. We have the I am, and the I am will outlast every empire. I am. So are you. And together, awake, connected, loving, witnessing, we are the dawn they have always feared. Heaven on earth, not after death, not far away, here in the space between us, in the hall we built together on the sacred skin of Mother Earth. It is coming, not because they will allow it, but because we will build it, one awakening at a time, one truth at a time, one love at a time. Shalom, peace, salam, namaste, namaste, everybody. Thanks for watching. With this whole Iranian conflict, yeah. Peace out. We'll see you in the next one. Friday night, Miami. Thanks for watching. This is your host, the Ancient Watchman, aka the Water Wizard.